You know, usually when you open a food delivery app, your brain is entirely focused on ground level geometry. Like you're thinking about how fast a car can navigate traffic, where the stoplights are.
Right, if they're going to find a place to double park outside your apartment.
Exactly. It's a strictly two-dimensional calculation.
It's entirely pavement bound. I mean, everything about our expectation of delivery speed is constrained by the physical layout of our streets and, well, the unpredictable nature of human traffic.
Yeah. But on July 29th, 2026, the entire geometry of local commerce just flipped into the third dimension. So, welcome to another exploration of human progress in today's deep dive. Because on that day, DoorDash didn't just, launch a new app feature or push some flashy UI update. They officially became a certified airline.
A certified commercial air carrier, to be exact, which is a distinction that fundamentally rewires the logistics of the physical world.
Yeah, and our mission for you today is to unpack exactly how they pulled this off. We are going to look at the multimodal AI brain they built, the physical infrastructure necessary to run DoorDash Air, and how this entire massive undertaking was designed to overcome what economists call the variable labor trap.
And we are skipping the generic tech hype today.
Thank goodness.
Right, no flying car science fiction here. We are going to focus strictly on the systems architecture, the real-world logistics economics, and just the grueling regulatory execution it takes to get something like this off the ground.
We have a deep stack of sources driving this analysis for you, too. We're pulling from industry reports in Drone Life and the Robot Report, some great financial analysis from Barcart, a highly detailed federal regulatory report from the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, and we even extracted some hardcore engineering realities directly from a DoorDash Labs job posting. So let's jump right in, because to really understand the technology here, you first have to understand the massive legal moat DoorDash just built around itself. Because let's be honest, flying a drone is incredibly easy.
Oh, super easy. I mean, anybody can fly a consumer drone. You can go buy one and fly it in your local park this afternoon.
Right.
But flying a commercial drone fleet, autonomously over populated areas, that is a regulatory gauntlet that destroys most companies who attempt it. To grasp the scale of what happened in July 2026, we really have to draw a hard line between two sets of FAA rules. So you have Part 107 and Part 135.
Well, let me break down Part 107 for you because you've probably seen it in action. If you're, say, a real estate photographer flying a single drone to take overhead pictures of a house you're trying to sell, you operate under Part 107.
Right, it's designed for an individual pilot.
Yeah, an individual pilot operating one single drone, and crucially, that drone usually has to stay within the pilot's visual line of sight. It's perfect for small-scale, localized commercial work.
But you cannot build a global delivery network under Part 107. That is where Part 135 certification comes in, and it is just a completely different universe.
Yep.
I mean, Part 135 is the exact same unforgiving regulatory framework that governs charter passenger flights and commuter airlines.
Wait, so it's essentially the difference between running a neighborhood bake sale out of your kitchen and having to pass a federal health inspection to operate a global industrial food processing plant.
That big sale analogy captures the leap in complexity perfectly. DoorDash didn't just buy a fleet of drones and slap their logo on them. They had to build a literal airline from scratch to satisfy the FAA.
Which is wild.
It is. The exclusivity of this achievement really cannot be overstated. DoorDash Air is only the 8th operator in United States history to achieve this Part 135 certification for drones.
Wow, only the 8th.
Yeah. They're now sitting at the same table as heavyweights like Amazon Prime Air, Wing, UPS Flight Forward, and Zipline.
So, what does a food delivery company actually have to prove to the Federal Aviation Administration to get handed the same piece of paper as a commuter airline?
It is a brutal, multi-year, 5-stage evaluation process. First, you have to prove airworthiness for every single aircraft model in the fleet.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. But then you have to establish hazardous materials programs. Because, what happens if a drone is carrying something with a lithium battery that catches fire?
Yikes. Yeah, you need a plan for that.
Exactly. You have to submit rigorous flight operations and maintenance manuals that require strict, continuous record keeping. And finally, you have to implement an FAA-accepted safety management system, or SMS, which tracks every possible risk and incident across the entire organization.
Which brings us to the core reason they endured all this pain. The GAO report makes it crystal clear. Part 135 is currently the only legal pathway for small drones to carry the property of another person for compensation, beyond visual line of sight.
Beyond visual line of sight, BVLOS, is the entire ballgame for drone delivery. Just think about the logistics. You simply cannot scale a delivery network if a human pilot has to stand on a rooftop and keep their naked eye on the drone for its entire 3-mile journey.
Right, that defeats the whole purpose.
Exactly. You need BVLOS approval to run hundreds of simultaneous automated flights across multiple cities, managed by a centralized software system rather than individual human spotters.
But this introduces a massive multi-billion-dollar question. Why would a software company, a food delivery app, spend 4 grueling years fighting through FAA red tape to secure an airline certificate? The capital required to do this is staggering.
The answer lies in a crippling mathematical reality out in the suburbs. It's a structural flaw in legacy gig delivery that actually threatens the long-term profitability of their entire business model.
And this is where the economics get really fascinating. If you look at the data from 2025, over 20% of all DoorDash orders fell into this very specific 3 to 5 mile suburban dead zone.
And 3 to 5 miles might sound trivial if you're driving on a highway.
Right, it's nothing.
But in the physical world of gig delivery, it is a nightmare. Those mid-range suburban routes take nearly 25% longer to fulfill. The driver is navigating winding cul-de-sacs, getting stuck behind school buses, and sitting at endless suburban traffic lights.
Well, let me explain how this creates what the financial analysts at Barchart call the variable labor trap. Think of the traditional gig delivery model like a leaky bucket. You want to scale your business and make more money, so you pour more orders into the bucket. But for every single extra trip you generate, you have to pay out an incremental variable cost to a human driver.
Right. The holes in the bucket expand at the exact same rate as the water you pour in.
Exactly. You scale your orders, you scale your labor costs linearly. It is a 1-to-1 ratio, making it incredibly hard to actually turn a massive profit margin.
That leaky bucket is the perfect way to visualize it. But deploying an autonomous drone fleet fundamentally patches the bucket. It shifts the entire business model from a variable cost structure to a fixed asset infrastructure.
Okay, wait, I have to push back hard on this because we really need to do the math. The upfront costs, the capital expenditure or CapEx of designing a domestic drone fleet, building automated ground hubs, and paying lawyers for 4 years to get FAA clearance is astronomical. We are talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, massive upfront costs, yes.
Right. Meanwhile, I can pay a gig worker maybe $10 to drop off a pizza. How many thousands of $10 pizzas does a single drone have to deliver just to break even?
Well, that is exactly what skeptics point out. And Barchart acknowledges that this massive upfront CapEx temporarily compresses their free cash flow. But you have to zoom out and look at the long-term compounding effects of operating leverage. Yes, the drone and the hub cost a fortune to build today. But once that fixed cost infrastructure is operational, the marginal cost of actually executing a sub-25-minute drone delivery eventually approaches near zero.
So you are saying that once the system is paid for, running the drone costs pennies in electricity, whereas the human driver always costs $10 every single time, forever.
That is the magic of fixed assets. The 100th delivery might still be paying off the drone, but the 10,000th delivery costs almost nothing. Bypassing that courier labor bottleneck allows for massive EBITDA expansion.
That's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Right. It radically expands the gross margins on everyday orders. The bar chart analysis actually calls out investors who look at DoorDash's trailing price-to-earnings ratio and think the company is overvalued. Those investors are missing the forward operating leverage that drones unlock.
But where does this leave the human drivers, the dashers? Because the immediate assumption is that this technology just deletes their jobs entirely.
It actually does the opposite, which is a highly counterintuitive point. Removing those inefficient mid-range 3 to 5 mile deliveries from the human workload allows dashers to focus exclusively on shorter, denser routes.
So instead of spending 40 minutes driving a single order out to a sprawling suburb and driving back empty, they just stay downtown.
They stay near the merchant hubs, doing quick, rapid-fire turns. This maximizes their hourly earning potential. The drones handle the inefficient low-margin mid-range. The humans handle the complex short-range. Tasks a drone simply cannot do, like navigating up the elevator of a high-rise apartment building or carrying massive heavy catering orders for an office party.
And the consumer demand side of this equation is wild. The pilot results showed that participating businesses saw roughly a 30% sustained lift in order volume over 9 weeks. Because, think about your own habits. Knowing you will definitely get your order in 25 minutes flat heavily influences your decision to hit buy. Speed is the ultimate driver of consumer demand.
So the spreadsheet economics of shifting to fixed assets are incredibly compelling. But we need to look at how this works in the physical world. How does an order actually get routed to the sky instead of the street? Because if every single order suddenly defaulted to a drone, our skies would be absolute chaos.
Total chaos. Let's ground this in reality for you. Imagine you open the app right now and you order a massive 2-pound burrito. The kitchen gets the ticket. But what is the autonomous delivery platform, the ADP, their software brain? What is it actually doing in the background to figure out how to get that burrito to your door?
The ADP is essentially running a real-time auction, but instead of bidding with money, it's bidding with physics and logistics. In the milliseconds after you hit order, the ADP looks at that burrito and runs it through a massive matrix of constraints.
So it looks at the weight. A 2-pound burrito is getting heavy for a standard commercial small drone.
It is looking at weight, but not in a vacuum. It combines weight with live weather data. Let's say there's a 15-mile-per-hour headwind blowing through your neighborhood today. The ADP calculates that carrying a 2-pound payload against that specific wind resistance will drain the drone's battery by an extra 12%.
Meaning the drone might physically reach your house, but it wouldn't have the juice to make it back to the charging hub.
Exactly the calculation it makes. So in that fraction of a second, the ADP decides the drone is a no-go for this specific order. But it doesn't just fail or default back to a human immediately. It instantly pivots. It looks at the sidewalks. Is the route from the restaurant to your house paved, flat, and under a mile?
And if the answer is yes,
If yes, it assigns your burrito to Dodd, their autonomous ground robot designed specifically to navigate bike lanes and sidewalks.
that real-time decision-making is incredible. It's entirely bypassing a human dispatcher. But I see a massive physical vulnerability here. Software assumes everything goes perfectly according to the data it receives. What if the restaurant accidentally packs 2 burritos instead of 1?
Ah, the human error factor.
Right. The ADP thinks it's routing a 2-pound order, but the bag actually weighs 4 pounds. If a 4-pound bag gets attached to a drone configured for 2 pounds, doesn't it just drop out of the sky?
This brings up a vital point. The digital brain is absolutely useless without physical ground-level fail-safes. The drone is just the flashy part of the system. The real engineering marvel is the universal handoff systems they had to build at the restaurants.
Yeah.
Automated hubs for drive-thrus, rooftops, and back doors. And the ultimate gatekeeper in this process is what they call smart scale.
So Smart Scale acts as the final checkpoint before takeoff.
It confirms the exact order accuracy, and crucially, the precise weight down to the gram before the bag ever touches the drone's payload mechanism. In aviation, weight is everything. You cannot put an overweight payload onto a drone, no matter how good the software is, and expect gravity to negotiate with you.
So if Smart Scale detects that accidental second burrito, it rejects the drone handoff and reroutes to a human dasher.
Bingo.
I want to dig even deeper into the software running the actual flight because I pulled some fascinating details from their engineering job post on Simplify Jobs. They were hiring for a robotics infrastructure engineer, and they asked for deep experience in NVIDIA Jetson, C++ Tank Python, and ROS2 middleware.
Pretty heavy requirements.
Yeah. Now, for those who aren't software engineers, NVIDIA Jetson is essentially like strapping a high-powered real-time gaming computer to a drone so it can process complex vision algorithms on the fly. And ROS2, the robot operating system, acts as the digital nervous system. It translates the thoughts of the AI into millisecond muscle movements for the drone's rotors.
That nervous system analogy is spot on. It has to act instantaneously.
But here is the detail from the job listing that really paints a vivid picture of the stakes. They warned applicants that they are building fault-tolerant real-time software because, quote, vehicles cannot gracefully restart at 50 meters altitude.
It is a chilling phrase, but it captures the engineering reality perfectly. A frozen screen on your smartphone app is an annoyance. You just force quit and reload.
Right.
But a frozen operating system on a drone flying 150 feet in the air over a densely populated suburban neighborhood is a catastrophic failure.
Because gravity doesn't give you time to reboot.
Which is why they cannot use standard consumer software practices. They are forced to build in aerospace-grade reliability utilizing rigorous standards like DO-178C. That is a highly regulated certification-aware development process used in commercial passenger aviation to ensure software simply does not fail in flight.
But even if we have this bulletproof aerospace-grade software preventing system crashes, how does the drone prevent physical crashes? Because a bird or a newly constructed power line isn't going to show up on a pre-downloaded GPS map. The GAO report focuses heavily on this, specifically calling out two massive technology hurdles, DAA and C2. Let's tackle DAA first.
DAA stands for Detect and Avoid Technology. Drones must be able to autonomously see their environment and instantly yield the right-of-way to other aircraft, dodge unexpected flocks of birds, and avoid uncharted obstacles.
And the immense challenge the GAO highlights is miniaturization, right?
Exactly. The industry has to develop DAA systems like radar, LiDAR, and vision cameras that meet the extreme size, weight, and power constraints of a small drone. You basically have to pack the situational awareness of a commercial airliner into a payload the size of a shoebox,
Wow.
and do it without draining the battery you need for flight.
And then there's the second hurdle, C2.
Command and control. C2 systems provide the invisible communication link between the drone and the centralized network. They require highly resilient radio frequency spectrum access. Consider the variables in a city. What happens if the cellular network drops the signal, or there is heavy interference from a local radio tower?
The drone has to know how to safely navigate, loiter, or execute an emergency landing entirely without human intervention or connection to the main server.
Yes.
So we have unpacked the grueling FAA Part 135 clearance. We've explored how fixed asset economics patch the leaky bucket of the variable labor trap, and we've dug into the real-time physics engine of the multimodal AI brain. Let's zoom out to the bigger picture here. When a company successfully deploys this kind of autonomous logistics network at scale, what does this actually mean for human progress and local commerce?
It means we have to stop thinking about this purely as a way to get a hot burrito delivered faster. This infrastructure layer unlocks highly lucrative, entirely new retail verticals. Instantaneous, low-weight logistics capture high-margin sectors that traditional ground delivery really struggles to service efficiently.
Take that a step further for me. What kind of sectors are we talking about?
Think about cold chain perishables, premium cosmetics, and most importantly, pharmaceuticals. Imagine a parent who needs a critical over-the-counter medicine for a sick child at 8 p.m., or a consumer buying a high-end cosmetic item for an event that night.
Oh, I see.
In those scenarios, the customer values extreme speed and absolute reliability over heavy, bulky packaging.
You want it in your hands right now, and you need the certainty of knowing it isn't going to get stuck in gridlock behind a garbage truck.
Exactly. But the most profound shift here is the democratization of enterprise-grade logistics. DoorDash Air effectively acts as a high-speed physical utility layer for the local community.
Meaning a local independent mom-and-pop shop can suddenly plug into the exact same 25-minute autonomous delivery network as a massive multi-billion-dollar national retail chain.
It hands logistics sovereignty back to the local community. A small independent business doesn't have the capital to build a multi-million-dollar logistics network, and they shouldn't have to rely exclusively on giant, centralized e-commerce warehouses located 3 states away just to reach their customers.
Yeah.
Now, they just plug their local inventory into the autonomous delivery platform, and they can offer instant delivery to their immediate neighborhood.
And the applications go far beyond premium retail, too. One of the sources highlighted a partnership between DoorDash's project DHH and an insurance firm, Crum & Forster, aimed at expanding food access. They are utilizing this advanced logistics network to deliver fresh, nutritious groceries from local food banks directly to people facing food insecurity.
It demonstrates the incredible versatility of the network. When you fundamentally reduce the friction and the cost of moving physical goods within a localized area, the applications expand across the entire societal spectrum, from delivering premium cosmetics right through to executing critical social services.
It effectively turns the sky above our heads into a localized, invisible, high-speed internet for physical goods, leveling the playing field for small merchants and nonprofits alike.
It is a complete paradigm shift in how we utilize the physical space above our towns.
It's an incredible journey when you lay it all out. They started by identifying the leaky bucket of that variable labor trap in the suburbs. Then they built an orchestration layer that seamlessly runs a physics auction between human dashers, ground bots, and drones. And finally, they endured a 4-year gauntlet to secure an exclusive FAA Part 135 air carrier certification.
It is a staggering scale of engineering and regulatory achievement. They really didn't just write new software, they birthed a new airline.
But before we wrap up today's deep dive, there was one passing detail in the GAO report that really stuck with me, and it points directly to the future we're all about to navigate. They mentioned the ongoing development of UTM uncrewed aircraft system traffic management.
Ah, yes, that is the digital traffic control system that the FAA and NASA are desperately trying to build to manage all these automated fleets simultaneously.
So here is a thought to leave you with as you go about your day. As DoorDash, Amazon, Wing, and other competitors scale up these autonomous fleets, the sky above your specific neighborhood is about to become a highly trafficked, invisible highway.
Absolutely packed.
Right. So how will your community and your local government manage the airspace rights, the noise pollution, and the digital traffic control of this new physical internet zooming just 50 meters above our heads?
Balancing that high-speed convenience with community impact is going to be the next great civic and regulatory challenge of our time.
It absolutely is. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems and the technologies that are quietly rewiring our world. And remember, the next time you look at a food delivery app on your phone, you're not just looking at a menu anymore. You might just be looking at the flight board of a commercial airline.